Hello, and this is my presentation on women during the Heian period. I'll be focusing more importantly on women that have faced a couple of issues. Luckily, the literature pieces have given us insight of what life was like back in the Heian period, such as, more importantly, focusing on the norms, the religious and political standings. So even though men and women worked in court together during the Heian period, there were still always some issues with equality that didn't always have the same rights as men between both genders. For example, women weren't allowed to write in kanji, but only in kana. So they had like a different writing system for women that only women could use, and they couldn't use the men's, which was kanji. Court women were expected to be very intelligent as well and were great writers that wrote many poems, diaries, and even stories that have revealed to us what women faced in the court life in the Heian period. But not only was the issue with the writing system, but as well as banning women from sacred sites that they weren't allowed to be in. These sacred sites could be a place of practicing Shintoism. The reason why was men believed that women were impure, and unfortunately, they looked down on women as less important. Women were restricted in many things as well. They weren't allowed to take over the throne. It was only passed down by men. Women were also used as a tool for Buddhists to expand Buddhism and raise money for building temples or other projects by portraying women as protagonists in stories, just to appeal to a bigger crowd. They even included famous women poets, hoping that they could even receive a donation from famous women writers. So even though there were men and women literature pieces from the Heian period, most of the literature that really gave the insight were women writers, whether it was the court life, social norms, or even diaries that gave depth of what the actual person may be experiencing, which can be like emotions or even the beauty of a location or a breakup or marriage even that gave a lot of detail during that time period. Some literature pieces that we learned during this time period in class were the Gossamer Diary, which was by the mother of Michisuna, who was depressed and was having to deal with her husband having an affair with another woman. Another piece was by the Pillow Book by Sai Shonagan, which was about observations that she made and also what amused her during her time as a court lady. Another literature piece was The Lady Who Loved Insects, that really gave us an idea of how social norms and expectations for women were like during that time period. And these are just a few literature pieces as well that really gave insight to us of what life was like during the Heian period. But many literature pieces that really gave insight have shown a lot and are famous for it till this day. For example, one writer whose name goes by Izumi Shikubu was a famous woman poet that we didn't really discuss in class or not at all, but was also a member of the Japanese court and has impacted many other writers through her writing. She wrote 242 poems that focused on fiction narratives and other features such as lust, beauty, elegance, and religious devotion. She was really famous for being a woman activist that protected against barriers on women gender. She was criticized a lot for her writing style in fiction, which was considered a sin during that time. Although she faced many obstacles, she was later on recognized during the Kamakura and Muromachi periods in Japan. When it comes to marriage, women had it the hardest. Marriage in Heian period could be understood as very different as compared to today's generation. For example, very local, which is where the married couple live at or near the man's parents' house. Uxuri loco, which is where the married couple stay at the woman's parents' house. Neo local, which can be considered today's norm, where the married couple live in a house together, which can be seen as more common or more understandable for us. Dual loco, which is less common where the spouses live separately rather than together. And this concludes my presentation, and thank you.